What is good, everybody? It is Spill here, and welcome back to the NBA 2K Lab channel. 2K24 is right around the corner. We were fortunate enough to play the game early. We got invited by 2K to play the game, and we even got to test the builder out. So big shout out to 2K for putting on an incredible event. But with that being said, we have a ton of information on the builder, and my main goal in this video right here is to give everyone a better understanding so you can be better prepared when you hit the builder yourself. So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for more 2K24 content. Let's get right into it. Now, when you first get into the builder, there's going to be two options you can choose from. You can create your own build like you normally would, and then you can also select an NBA template, which says that it lets you start with a build molded from an NBA superstar. For some people like myself, I might be in the builder for an entire day before making a build, but others might want to get right into the action and onto the court. And so for those people, these NBA player build templates might be for you. This is a good option for people who don't want to deal with the intricacies of a brand new build system right away. And if you go this route with an NBA template, it has its perks. Zach Timmerman, one of the producers at 2K, had a tweet that said this: "A cool little feature we like about the NBA player templates in the builder is that if you choose one and avoid customizing, you'll be equipped with all of his signature gameplay animations off rip. So if you do decide to make that NBA player template, not only will it come with the signature animations that player currently has in the game, even if you don't meet the attribute thresholds, they have plenty of templates to choose from at every position, and you're sure to find something you like should you go this route. And even if you don't want to use the exact player build template, you can always customize the template itself and make it your own. But like Timmerman said, you won't get the animations and everything off rip, so just keep that in mind. Now, when you start to make your first build in NBA 2K24, be prepared for a complete overhaul of the build system, which means you have to rethink how you want to make your MyPlayer. When people said that the builder was strict, that's because they meant it. Now, if you try to make a 23 build in 24, which I'm actually going to show you guys in another video very soon, you're going to be wildly disappointed. The thresholds for badges and animations have basically been reworked from the ground up, and when trying to make a build this year, you're going to be faced with a lot of decisions because you really can't have everything like you did in 2K23. Now, when you first start to make your build, you can pick your position, height, weight, and wingspan like normal, but now instead of just being able to see the attribute caps, it now shows you the maximum badge levels able to be unlocked with your current settings. And this may take a little bit to get used to as we learn the new badge names and images, but it's definitely a nice feature to help speed up your selection process as it's easier to see your build's maximum potential. Now, I'm not going to go over every single threshold, but I do want to go over some just to show you how much has changed. Let's just take a look at a badge like Limitless Range. The requirement for Bronze Limitless is now an 85 3-point rating, which is the same rating that gave you Silver in 2K23, which was actually pretty decent. Now it's 85 for just Bronze, and we're unsure how effective that level will even be. Another threshold to look at was the pass accuracy needed for just Bronze Bailout. So now if you ever even think of bailing out of a shot, you're going to need at least an 87 pass accuracy to have a decent chance at a clean catch animation on the other end. Things like handles for days and even Workhorse is now gated by your stamina, so there's no slacking on stam this year, and for most players, it's no longer just an attribute you can lower to min-max your player for that extra attribute somewhere else. Stamina actually means a little bit more now. Another major thing is that quick first step got removed and is now called speed booster. And if you remember in 23, the 6'8s were so good because they had Hall of Fame quick first step. But this year, if you want a badge like Hall of Fame speed booster, the tallest you can be is 6'4. So as I said before, you're gonna have to rethink how you want to make your build in 24 and really make decisions about which badges that you want to maximize. And the last thing I wanted to mention in this part here was the speed with ball attribute. This attribute got a major tune-up since everyone was just going to 75 last year for the Michael Jordan dribble style. Now that same dribble style requires more speed with ball, making it far tougher to equip. I, for one, am actually happy with this change as a lot of the community was asking for all attributes to matter this year, so I think this was a great change that made a lot of sense and should provide more variety within the game, especially at different heights. And now when you're making these builds on release day, if you need a complete and comprehensive list of all animations and badge requirements on day one, it'll be available for free at NBA2KLab.com, so be sure to check that out and everything that we got going on over there. Now, there's been a bunch of quality of life improvements within the builder to make the process a bit more seamless, and one of the biggest features I loved when making my builds at community day was the ability to edit your build without having to reset every attribute. Yes, you can now change your height, weight, or just about anything on your build, and all attributes will stay the same unless your caps have changed by the new settings, in which case it will just go to the highest number available and you won't lose your entire build like in past 2Ks, which saves a lot of time. Now, if you do want to reset your attributes, you can press square on PlayStation or X on Xbox and it will give you a blank slate to work with. They've also added a more clear representation of which attributes are tied together when increasing or decreasing a specific attribute, so you can easily see what's going on. Now, as you're making your build, you want to notice the top right tabs where it says relevant badges and all badges. The relevant badges tab will show you all the badges tied to that current attribute you have selected. So if you have pass accuracy selected, it will show you all the badges related to that attribute, and you can use the right stick to scroll up and down through each of the different badges in that menu. Now, if you scroll over to all badges, it will bring you to a section that shows you all of your MyPlayer's best and worst badges in each tier, and you can use your right stick to move around and select different badges and even see the thresholds of each level along with the badge description. This view is the best way to get a general idea of your MyPlayer's full potential. And when it comes to badge tiers, a general idea to keep in mind is that as you grind for these badges in game, the higher tier badges will be harder to get and keep, while the lower tier badges will be easier to get and keep, because you can lose badges this year in 2K24. So a good tip in the builder this year is to be on the lookout for good badges in lower tiers to really maximize the value of your builds at different heights. Another thing I wanted you guys to see was the green meter behind the attributes filling up as I maxed the player out to 99. This feature was in 23 as well, but I particularly like it this year because you can really see how much the higher attributes are affecting your overall. Once you hit a 95 rating on some of those major attributes like 3-point rating or steal, it really starts to weigh extremely heavy on your overall. Take my 3-point rating for example. I was looking to see how much it took to get a 99 3-point, and as you can see, I have a near completed build here with about 5 more overall to play with, and by going from just a 98 to a 99 3-point rating, I've basically maxed out my build with that one attribute point. So this tells me that these higher attribute thresholds should feel very powerful with the badges they unlock. Now, those are just some of the great quality of life features in the new builder, but now I want to talk about strength and physicals. In this video, I wanted to answer the burning question of, does strength matter? And this year, my early impression is that it absolutely matters in NBA 2K24. Now, this might not apply to all players, as smaller PGs don't even have access to the higher strength thresholds, but for lockdowns and slashers, it seems strength is going to play an important role this year. Now, whether strength is actually effective as an attribute itself remains to be seen, but the reason why strength matters so much this year is because there are a lot of badges that are gated behind it, and I'll go through some of them. Take for example the physical handles badge, which lessens the chance of being bothered by defenders on the perimeter while dribbling. You need at least an 83 strength and an 80 ball handle to unlock Hall of Fame, and while smaller PGs can get lower levels of this badge, we just don't know yet how effective it will be. But another badge that could be important this year that requires a lot of strength is Immovable Enforcer. This improves the defensive player's strength when defending ball handlers and finishers, and I think this is going to be a really good badge for wing players and especially lockdowns who want to play solid defense on the perimeter and against slashers at the rim. I can see this being a great counter badge to the new finishing badge called Big Driver. Now, some other badges like Fearless Finisher and Bulldozer are also gated behind certain strength requirements, so for some players they may not need strength as much as others, and we'll get a better idea of what's the most effective when we test these badges and attributes, and we'll also be able to better find out if the badge is carrying the attributes or if it's the other way around. Now, not only does strength matter more this year, but so do the rest of your physicals, as certain badges can be gated by attributes like speed, acceleration, and even vertical, which wasn't really a thing in 2K23. Take for example the new defensive badge Fast Feet, which boosts a player's ability to stay in front of dribblers while guarding on the perimeter. That badge requires an 82 acceleration on top of a 97 perimeter defense to unlock on the Hall of Fame level, which is a pretty big investment. The limitations of your physicals definitely rely a lot on the height of your build as well, which brings me to the last part of this video, and that's which height you should choose for your builds. Now, I mainly focused on ball handlers and the playmaking attributes with these heights, so I'm only going to go up to 6'8", but for short guards, I think all heights from 6'2 to 6'4 might be pretty popular, as 6'2 is the tallest height that unlocks all of the S tier playmaking badges on Hall of Fame, and then 6'4 is the tallest height that can get Hall of Fame Speed Booster with the best 6. It's going to be hard to afford all of these playmaking attributes, but I'm just letting you know the upside of these heights. The 6'3s may also be back, as they're the tallest builds that can unlock Hall of Fame blow-bys. 6'5 is the tallest height to get 99 3-point and Hall of Fame handles for days. Whether you can afford both of those things simultaneously is another story, but a very popular early option so far, which has been talked about amongst the community a little bit, was the 6'6 builds, as they look like the best in-between build in terms of getting good playmaking attributes at a good height and still having the capability to do everything on offense, depending of course on how they make the build. And they're also the tallest build that can unlock Hall of Fame ankle breaker. 6'7s and 6'8s will be good heights for a lot of players, of course, especially wing players, but you'll have to be okay with lower levels of speed booster and the other playmaking badges as well, and also the lower end dribble styles. Now, these builds will be more geared toward lockdowns and slashers, but in the right hands, I'm sure people will figure out the dribbling in due time, and they should fare well in the park as all around complementary builds. Now, those are just my general thoughts and tips on this builder this year, and I really hope this video gives you a better understanding of how the builder actually works in NBA 2K24. We have a bunch of builder content coming out in the coming days before the release, so be sure to stay tuned for that and turn noties on, because you really don't want to miss these videos. It's been Spill. Thanks for watching. I'm out. Later.